everyone, it's Don with another look at the construction going on here in the villages. We're going to start out a little lighter this time. This is the village of St. Catharines. This is the party that's going on May 1st. It was right across the street from Ray Hereford's house. Nice guy, he provided all the music, and the residents came out en masse. They had a good time. St. Catharines is definitely a very active neighborhood. My understanding of this community is it's a COVID community, and it has a large section of the population that work from home thanks to being able to be relocated during the COVID crisis. We'll take another look at this party at the end of the video. The first thing we'll look at is the new 7-Eleven being built just north of Brownwood on Powell Road and State Route 44A. The two fuel tanks are in the ground and have now been covered. They've put the awning up for over the pump area, and the finish work on the exterior of the building is starting to be completed. No official opening date has been announced, but my sources tell me 6 to 8 more weeks and they'll be pumping gas. Here's a look at the Southern Oaks Bridge. This is being played about 5 times normal speed because, to be safe, I moved very, very slow with the drone to get up this hill. All the beams and decking are in place going across this span. They'll be putting in a bunch of rebar that'll be tied down, and then a whole bunch of concrete will be poured on this to make the bridge surface. I'll back up now out from underneath the power lines, and we'll go high and take a look at the work going on the other side of the bridge. Here you can see they're working on the span that's going to be covering the buried gas line that's on the other side of the road. This second span is similar to what they had to do at the Water Lily multimodal bridge to cross over the same gas pipeline. We'll take another look at the bridge from the south side, and then we'll swing around to the north side. Remember, this is going to be 6 lanes, 4 lanes for cars and 2 lanes for golf carts going across the turnpike. Here you can see another one of those huge mounds of clay dirt that they've brought over in preparation for all of the work that's going to be going on the other side of the turnpike. In the upper right corner is the village of Monarch Grove. As I pan to the left, you can see the area on the other side of the turnpike and all the preparation work that's happening. I'm going to continue on till we get about here, and then we'll zoom in. Right here is where they've cleared the grounds for the building of Eastport. And off in the back, you can see the new high school being built. We'll get back to these areas in just a few minutes. On both sides of this grove of trees on the screen is where one of the championship courses is going to be built. You can see a couple of the towers for the prison here. Coming into view on the right is the cement plant. The near tree lines are still running through the Woodlands Championship Golf Course. If I'm reading the maps right, that's the village of Oak Hollow we're looking at. Of course, there's nothing there yet. And this would be the village of Well Point, which would be just south of Monarch Grove. And this area is where the Live Oak Pitch and Putt course is going in. We'll back out of here and take a break for just a second. Let's face it, we're not as young as we once were. Climbing those old-fashioned attic stairs to get the Christmas decorations down or to stow those family treasures is just too dangerous. Magic stairs is the safer alternative. Real steps with safety rails at a safer angle and safety rails in the attic provide the safest attic access available. Having troubles getting things to and from the attic? The Magic Attic Lift can be there to help. Designed by Village's resident Ron Berner, every Magic Stairs and Magic Attic Lift is custom built in their Ocala, Florida factory and installed by their technicians. Why take chances? For less than the cost of one emergency room visit, you can have Magic Stairs installed in your home. Magic Stairs, the safer, more convenient alternative. We're going to jump to the other side of the turnpike now. This is the end of Corbin Trail, and if you look carefully, you can see that they've already started digging the roadbed in for the extension of Corbin Trail that will go up to McNeil Road. We'll go down and take a look at the pitch and putt course that's being constructed. There's not a lot to see yet. It takes a little bit of time to build one of these courses. Along the turnpike going down to the Southern Oaks Bridge is where the Laurel Oaks Executive Course is going to be built. We'll rotate around and you can see how they're starting prep work in the village of Enfield. Once again, this is the village of Well Point that will be built just south of Monarch Grove. We'll slide backwards a little bit and move over, and you can see that roadbed again that will extend Corbin Trail south. If you look carefully in the village of Well Point at the top of the screen, you can see they're already starting to cut in the roadbeds. We'll rotate around and we'll take another look at the Woodlands Championship Golf Course that will eventually be built here. Towards the top of the screen is once again where Eastport is going. Here again is the village of Enfield. This is back down south again of County Route 470, and I'll take a different approach for our look at Middleton and the construction of the new high school. This is traveling at about 60 miles an hour and 100 feet above the ground. Coming up, you can see a retention pond being built, the rubber liner that they put in it to stop the seepage. This is Central Parkway running left to right, and going off to the upper left is Landstone Boulevard. We'll increase our altitude just a little bit to be safe as we come up to the high school. As you can see, they've made a tremendous amount of progress on the high school. Some of the buildings you can see the decking in for the second floor. The area on the other side of the road here is scheduled to be family housing. As we rotate around, you can see the start of some of the buildings that will be part of the new high school football stadium. Here's another look at the high school buildings. Middleton and Eastport are huge complexes that are being built both at the same time. It's going to take hundreds of people to help put these together. Up ahead is the start of the Early Learning Center, and just beyond it, the K-8 school system. As I said, it's going to take a lot of people to build these. If you have a family member living up north maybe, who's looking for a job, a good paying, long-term job, bring them here. There's lots of companies hiring, everybody needs employees, it's a great place to be. And who wouldn't want to live in Central Florida? Here's another quick look at the high school. Enough of this at Middleton. Let's go take a look at Eastport. This is the site for Eastport. As you can see, it's been fully cleared, and it won't be long now before they start digging in for the new lake and all the other stuff that's going on. You can see the 2 water tanks that are there on Marsh Bend Trail. That's a good landmark to let you know where Eastport is being built. We'll zip out a little farther to about midway down Central Lake, and we'll take a quick look around. Once again, this area here is where the Woodlands Golf Course is going to be built. You can see Monarch Grove at the top of the screen. And we'll rotate around again. Yes, that's Coleman Prison coming into view. It's one of the largest employers of Sumter County. But enough of this. This is boring. Let's go take a look at Eastport in detail. But first this.
Hello everyone! New Teeth Now is proud to be a part of the Village's community. If you've suffered from lifelong dental problems, we can give you a new, healthy smile in just one day. Register for a free seminar with Dr. Alshar, our board-certified New Teeth Now surgeon, and find out how we can help you live your best life. Visit newteethnow.com and register today.
So, the first place we want to start when we look at Eastport is the developer's website, thevillages.com. We're going to look at the Continuing the Dream page. We'll pick one of the latest updates. And then we'll go back and click on the one level higher where it says Continuing the Dream. And that brings us to this screen. And right up here, this is the archives. Click on it, and it takes you to the listing of all the previous newspaper inserts. Eastport was first announced in Volume 10, the August 2021 edition. We'll click on it, bring it up, and it gives us this nice map. Now, I don't like this one personally because it's turned sideways. Here you can see north is actually looking to our left. So we're going to take a different one. We're going to go to the February 2022 edition. We'll click on it. And we're going to go to the very last page. It's the same drawing, except now it's turned the correct way. So it makes a little more sense. North is facing up, and it has all the details we're looking for. Now, I'm not going to use this one. I've taken a screenshot of it. It's a little easier to move around. There we go. This is from February 2022. Again, here's the web address to find this map, thevillages.com/continuingthedream. Let's zoom in a little bit and take a look at some of the features that we can see. We'll start at the top. We've got the boathouse. It's a big building, big parking lot in front of it, and a dock for the dragon boats. Right below it is Sunset Island. Looks like a gazebo of some sort here and a small bridge. Along the water line, it looks like there's a boardwalk or a walking path scheduled to go in. The pink buildings down here are all commercial buildings. This is scheduled to be a hotel. And this down here, if you look real carefully, I'll see if we can zoom in a little bit more, looks distinctively like a bank. No doubt Citizens First Bank. So this is the original rendering that they've shown us. In April, they came out with a new version, so we'll take a look at it. This is the version that came out in the April edition of Continuing the Dream. So we see a few differences right off the bat. The first thing we see is now the boathouse is significantly smaller. The parking lot has gone away. And now that narrow boardwalk is actually a much wider path, about 50 or 60 feet wide. This area has changed a little bit. And when we go down a little bit farther, the bank has moved. It's now on this side of the road. And there's this new building here. What is the new building? It's hard to say, but based on its size and what we've seen before, it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume that this is a Village's health facility. So this gives us a pretty good insight of what's going to be coming. This is a rec center, a pool, ball fields, pickleball courts, platform tennis. This is a general purpose field. So a lot happening here. Driving range over here. Executive golf, but this doesn't really show us much detail. When we go look at the plans, though, that have been recently published, we get a little better view. Not all of it, but we'll take a look at those. So let me move this out of the way. And the first one we'll look at is this is the general site plan. Now, as you can see, it's only got a little bit of up here, and most of it's down here where the commercial properties are. We're going to take a quick look and see what they're showing us. I'll bring up a more detailed view. This is the northern section. This right here is building 14. That's the boathouse. It says 2,800 square feet. Still a pretty good sized building. It's bigger than most houses. Some things that we also see is right here. Let me zoom in to give us a better view. And you'll see that these are very long parking areas. This is meant for the trailers for the dragon boats. Remember, the lake here is 1 kilometer long and it's being designed around dragon boat racing. This is the boat ramp for it. So the boats will be launched and the trucks just pull up and get out of the way. So it should work out very well. Again, this used to be parking lot in the original drawing. Now it's shown as all concrete. It's a pretty big area. Scroll down a little bit more. Here you can see where this has been widened significantly. You see the road is 24 feet. This is about 2.5 times wider, or about 60 feet wide, maybe 65. When we look at Sunset Island now, there's some more details being shown. So these curved lines here are going to be the island itself, and then this is concrete. As you can see, it's a shade feature, architectural feature, a shade structure. I'm thinking a small stage, because over here it says concrete amphitheater bleacher seating. There's 2 amphitheater settings. And then these 2 areas here are grassy areas, as well as this. So I guess if you want to sit on the grass and watch whatever they're presenting at the amphitheater. The bridge going to it, they're thinking ahead. It's a bridge rated for emergency vehicle access, so it's wide enough for emergency vehicles to come across, so an ambulance in case something happens. Always a good thing. So that's really about it in this section that they're showing so far. Again, lots of parking. So let's take a look down here a little lower. So this is the waterfront section, if you will. And the first thing we see is these 3 buildings here. Let's zoom in a little bit more. So building 23, right here, is obviously a stage. We'll zoom in just a little bit tighter on it. There we go. And you can see there's steps coming up one side and the other. There's some equipment area back here. You can see it's about 64 feet from the roadway to the front of the stage, another 18 feet behind it. This is all concrete. So this is going to be where you put your chairs and things like that. These are simply architectural features. They've got a bridge that's going to go across on each side. When we look at building 22, this one right here, and we look at building 24 right here, the first thing we notice is this right here. This is a queue, a line for whatever they're selling here. It's pretty obvious that it's going to be a bar or a concession stand. You can see the outline here of what looks to be the bar area right along the front of it on this one, but not on this one. So that's what's happening on the waterfront. If we go down a little bit farther south, now we get to, we'll zoom out just a little, buildings 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. These are all obviously commercial buildings. Building 7 is a 2-story building. Building 9 appears to be a restaurant. It's got a loading dock in the back for bringing in supplies. It's got this nice hexagon entrance and what appears to be an awning that's going to go over the sidewalk, so I'm thinking outdoor seating here. Can't really make out what this is yet. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but these are very early drawings. Now, let me get your attention to the street side parking. Look at the dimensions. 6 foot wide, 8 foot deep. This is golf cart parking. So the main street here has all dedicated golf cart parking. On the other streets, you can see that they're 8 feet wide and about 24 feet long. This is set up for car parking. So priority parking is for golf carts down the center of the street. This is something new. Normally we'd have to take and hope a car moves out of the way, then we'll squeeze 4 golf carts in. As we look around here, you can see here's another loading dock back here. These are obviously set up to be restaurants. There are stairs here going up to the 2nd story of this building. So it should be interesting to see what happens here. This looks to be a public restroom. And another public restroom back here. So that's what we see on this map. We move a little farther south. And now we have buildings 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, this is just south of where we were just looking. And we can see that these are all commercial buildings. If we zoom in, one of the things we'll see is they're showing a series of doors right here. These doors are to the different commercial establishments. These are typically about 1,000 square foot commercial building, just like we see in the Omni buildings that they're building, the new building at Lake Deaton Plaza. So again, this is all going to be commercial shopping area. Lots of parking in the back, some street side parking here. And that's about all we see on here. I'm not sure what this is all about right here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This where it says 29, 23, and 23 feet. And this is 22 feet. I'm uncertain what that is, but we'll keep a close eye on it. All right. We'll go to our last drawing, and it's this one. And you can see it's over here on the left side. This is where the hotel is going. There's a walking path going on here. We'll zoom in. There's a proposed pavilion, about 900 square feet, pretty good size. I'm not sure what these areas are here. Maybe practice putting green, could be some other recreational area. We're not sure yet. Again, these are very early drawings. We're going to keep a close eye on what's going on, though. So that's really what we have for Eastport at this point. A lot of things are starting to happen. As you saw earlier, they started clearing the land. It won't be too much longer until all the heavy equipment starts coming in and they start digging the retention pond / 1 kilometer lake and all the rest of the work that happens. This is a huge, huge project. They're building basically an entire downtown from scratch, something that's normally done 1 building at a time in a normal city. So much for Eastport. Now let's take a look at where they're going to build the hospital. We're flying basically right down the Sumter and Lake County line out towards the Gibson water treatment plant. On the left you can see some of the power lines. Remember these. I'll show you those again in another view. On the other side of the turnpike is the village of Newell. And we'll rotate back and we'll head a little south again. And you'll see just how big this area is. It's quite huge. Now, again, it doesn't look like much, but in the next scene you're going to see I've got some of the permit layouts for this, and it'll give you a better idea of what's coming. Here you can clearly see the county line. That's the Turnpike 470 interchange. A few details now of the hospital area. Zoom in just a little bit. And you can see here's the Florida Turnpike. And this is County Route 470. Central Parkway is going to break off and go a little bit to the north and eventually curve back around and meet up with Marsh Bend Trail. So the county line is this black line going right down the center of the screen. This is Lake County. This is Sumter County. At the top of the screen, it says existing WTP. That's water treatment plant. That's the Gibson water treatment plant. It's wells. It's not sewage. This is where they're pumping the potable water out of the ground and they treat it. There's a similar one of these over by the village of Hawkins on the other side of the turnpike. So, looking at the map, we can see a couple of retention ponds. It says non-residential areas. These are pretty safe to assume that this is going to be where the medical facility is going to be. Interestingly, on the other side of the county line, we now have residential property. Now, these squared areas, just by the way it's shaped, that's telling me this is going to be apartments. It's not going to be residential properties like we're used to seeing it. Looking at some other details, this shows it as up to 1,500 dwelling units in about 300 acres. That's a very high density area. So again, multi-level apartments, probably to support the people working at the hospital, the interns, the residents. Up a little higher, we have this non-residential area. It's a different color. This is probably a recreational facility of some sort, because on this side right here, to the left of McNeil Drive, right in here, is where it's showing the clubhouse for the golf course. And then we have this green strip right down the center. This is where the power lines run. So that's what we know so far. Not a lot of detail, but we are getting some ideas of what's to come. The Southern Oaks Bridge, or the Bexley Bridge, whatever they're going to call it, is right about here. Veranda homes are now being built in the DeLuna area using the prefab construction method. This is a section of wall being lifted into place and set by the workers. Now I'm going to speed this up some, but the actual time to move this whole piece of wall and get it set and move on to the next piece was about 5 minutes. It's an interesting thing to watch. The little red squares are spacers used to space between the wall and the foundation so that they can inject grout into here and seal up the wall really well so you don't get any water leakage. Using the standard block method, it takes about 20 men 3 days to fully build a full set of walls for a house. Using this method, 4 or 5 men can do the job in a couple of hours, putting up all the walls. Then they got to come back the next day, fill the gaps with grout. But in all, they can do about 4 or 5 homes in the time it takes 20 guys to do one home. A one-of-a-kind factory in Coleman produces all these wall sections. I've been trying for a couple of days now to get a tour of it. They're being very hush-hush about it because it's a new process and they want to keep their trade secrets exactly that, a secret. The foundations are precisely made and exact measurements are taken in the placement of the rebar. Every piece is properly labeled. The gaps are adjusted to make sure the wall is perfectly level. The walls are exactly 6 inches thick. Block wall is about 7.5 inches thick. Where the walls join, steel cables are embedded, and then rebar is placed in the steel loops. Next, forms are put in place around all the joints, and grout is injected into them. This seals up all the gaps. Where the rebar comes up from the foundation, these holes provide a way to inject grout and secure the wall to the foundation. Chemical sealant is placed on all the joints. The air gaps around windows are typically the biggest source of energy loss. With this type of construction, there is no gap between the concrete and the windows. You can see here how tightly meshed it is. After the wall is complete, construction continues just like any other home. We're back in St. Catherine again to take another look at that party. We'll fly out a little bit and you can get a better view of the neighborhood. This party went on for several hours that night. And that wraps up this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. My name is Don Wiley, and thanks for watching.